recording going, and we're unmuted on Discord finally. All right, so this is the earnings for Tuesday for this week. Let me just go ahead and pull up the earnings calendar here, and we can all just take a look. So we've got we have Visa, Starbucks, Snapchat, First Solar. First Solar is one that I'm watching. Not throwing a bunch of money at it, but I am interested because there's a lot of catalysts surrounding it. A lot of potential for that one. Not as an investment, but for speculation. Obviously, Visa is a big one. We're heading into financial season, so it's going to be pretty important to look at those. Starbucks is just fun to speculate up and down. Most of the time down, but sometimes up. Snapchat, same thing. You get much more drastic moves to the downside off of that one. Beyond that, we've got some bigger tech this week. We've got Amazon. They got some pretty volatile headlines right now because of their yes and then no announcement of the tariff information to consumers. So there's a little bit of contention on that one. Microsoft, Meta, and Robinhood and QCOM tomorrow. So we got a pretty big week here. So let's go ahead and just look at Visa here. This is a small cash account here that I just have pulled up. I did one trade today, 3.89%, and I'm just done for the day. So I'm not looking at anything super crazy with this account. This is for the lifetime members, and we are just kind of taking it easy, right? Because the whole goal is not to stress out and, make this your full-time job, because it could be, but that kind of defeats the point, right? I trade to trade less. All right, so obviously Starbucks is going to hell. We love that. Right, we always love the negative volatility on Starbucks. So let's go ahead and just we're going to kind of keep an eye on these and see which ones go where and which ones get the volume. So far, Starbucks is getting not necessarily the volume, but it's got a wider spread on it. It's a lot more violence to it. So we're just going to keep an eye on this one. I'm not going to live trade any of these on this account, obviously, because I can't trade a $340 stock on a $126 account. And the volatility would probably be gone by the time I log into another account. So we're just going to go ahead and watch this. So we're getting a lot of violence here, and this always happens with earnings. And if you try to trade these directionally overnight and things like that, you're going to have a hard time because this pretty much just goes where the volume pushes it. A company can have really solid underlying. They could be making money year over year, month over month, day after day. And, the earnings could be spectacular and the price would still plummet. There's no reliable way to predict this stuff, and that is not our job. Okay, our job is to manage risk and to mitigate risk because your only choice is whether or not you're exposed to risk or not. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and probably focus here on Starbucks. I don't really like what Visa's doing here. And we'll get some juice out of it, right? We can always look at Snapchat as well. I just don't like Snapchat. I'm kind of waiting for them to end up delisting at some point, honestly, between us girls. It's just garbage. And then they're having so many challenges right now with the tech and regulatory landscape. So I don't have high hopes for anything meaningful to happen on that one. At least not to the upside, right? We always have the downside stuff. So, we've seen a lot of bullish candles here off this bounce here. We got the 25% rule in effect, and we've kind of already satisfied that. So between here and here, well, specifically there to there, we're kind of in rejection territory, right? So if I were to look at this one and knowing that I don't like Snapchat and that's not a bias, that can't justify the price going up. All I need to do is wait for a confirmation, and then it'll give me defined risk and defined disproportionate reward ratio. So if I see the price break below this box, below that 25% threshold that we get 90% of the time, which we've satisfied, then we get a strong rejection below the 50 to 61.8% fib retracement zone, which is the healthy turnaround point. That means that we're in line for a shallow pullback, and that means the likelihood for stronger, more aggressive continuation to a new low is much higher. So therefore, all I need to do is find an area somewhere in here. Once I see that confirmation, that gives me a super tiny risk, and that's all I care about, because once I have that, I have my trade. I don't need to predict anything. I'm just looking for areas of tiny risk with huge potential and trading in the direction of the favor. That's all I do. So let's go ahead and look at the 3-minute chart on these. And I'm going to pull up, I'll probably just single focus on Starbucks here, unless some volume or something can pick up on Visa. We're starting to get a little bit of juice on this one, relative volume, but right? It's kind of garbage. So Duco, let's cut the stuff and get to what matters. Pookie, did I get Oblivion remastered? I did not. probably will, but not today. Today I'm looking at Visa and Starbucks, unfortunately, and I hate Starbucks. But all right, so we're getting there, right? You know what I'm looking for, Duco, on Starbucks, right? I'm going to go ahead and point. I'm going to draw some vertical lines here, and we're going to see. Okay, so we got 20 seconds on this candle. We're getting some better volume here. We got about 17K almost on Visa. So this one's starting to get a little bit more of the volume. So it looks like the volume is kind of pulling out of this one and jumping over into this guy, which is good. That tells me that the a lot of these guys probably stopped out, and they're probably going to chase into this one, and that's going to get slammed down. That's just how it goes. Hood Costco earnings. I believe Robinhood's tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday. If you don't have it, I'll put the link for the watch list in the chat there, and then you can also go to the watch list channel. It's the pin post that has the earnings schedule on it, so you can tell which days are which. But yeah, I'll pull it up over here as well. Yeah, so today we've got Visa, Starbucks, Snapchat, and First Solar and all those. Tomorrow is Robinhood. Yes. So I'll be watching those too, but today I just want to look at these two. So here's just kind of what I'm looking for, right? So for Visa, I'm expecting we punch a new low. Doesn't mean I'm going to trade it to the downside or anything like that. It just means that is where I see it going, and all I need to do is look for areas of super tiny risk. Yeah, let's go ahead and look at Snapchat. It's garbage. So Snapchat will always be something I'm bearish on. I very rarely look for bullish opportunities on it, and when I do, I always make sure the risk is super tiny, because that is what will destroy you. It's not going to be the big profits that you make in either direction. It's always going to be the inability to stop out when stuff like this happens and you're in a long position. So you have to be able to manage your risk, and that's super, super dangerous after hours, because once you put a limit sell order in, you know, and that spread opens up. Like right now, it's only 15 cents or 5 cents. It's kind of variable, right? But once that spread opens up, your limit order might just sit there. Price will push down, 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 and you got to chase it, and that sucks. Yeah. So there's a lot of violence, a lot of volatility on this one, but I'm personally just watching Visa. As counterintuitive as it might seem, this is the better setup, right? So all we need to do is look for confirmation now that we've got the setup. This thing is just, Snapchat here is just too dumb. Like, it's too volatile. Sorry if the Snapchat CEO is watching this, but fix yourself, you know? It's not that hard. So we'll go ahead and watch, and then actually, let me check. Sorry, let me just look at Starbucks real quick. All right, so we drew our vertical lines here. Let's go ahead and see. All right, so we didn't get our pattern here. Let me just see here. What's the number on that one? Sorry, I have a really bright window right there. It's hard for me to see this monitor. I should probably move these. All right, so if this candle closes here in the next 8 seconds, we can look for a short opportunity on Starbucks. But we're not going to look for anything until we get confirmation. I'm not on a margin account, so I can't short this. And I encourage everybody to also make your own decisions and don't just randomly grab something because somebody on YouTube or Discord is looking at it and saying it should go down. Because that is not, it's not healthy risk management. So if you want to trade it and you can justify it and you're seeing the same thing I'm seeing and you're on a margin account and all that good stuff, you're free to, but you have to manage that risk. All right. All right. How is Snap earnings? Let's look. Let me see here. I don't really look at the reports. I kind of take a different approach to the market because I know a lot of people spend too much time looking and expecting the numbers to make sense, but that is not how earnings works, unfortunately. All right, let's see here. Looks like revenue 1.36 billion, estimate 1.34 billion, so they beat revenue. EPS negative 0.08, estimate 0.13 negative, so that's good, they beat that. They omitted formal QT guidance due to uncertain macro conditions, which is pretty common now for these companies. They just don't trust the market, and I don't either. So for this one, sorry for Visa, just because we're here, I'm going to do the same thing. And what we're going to look for is a pop and then a sell-off, if we get that. This one has not shown entry criteria yet, so there's no reason to look at this for entry just yet. But the goal here is going to be to look for a trade to the downside if and only if we get a confirmation. So that hasn't happened yet. And let me change this to an arrow as well. All right, so this is kind of all I'm looking for. Maybe I should bring this. Maybe that was a little drastic. Maybe we'll move it up here. Looking for a new low, though. So yeah, Snapchat is, they beat, but you can see they're still down, right? They beat the revenue, they beat the, basically like every company's omitting guidance, so that's kind of a non-issue right now. But you can see, even though they beat, you know, they beat all their sales and stuff, but they're still just getting stomped, right? So that's what I'm saying. Don't bother wasting your stress and your energy looking at reports and stuff. Unless you want to. You can if it makes you feel better, but that's not really going to have an impact on the price that's reliable. And I just hate seeing people try to get it right and try to guess and predict and believe in numbers and stuff that don't quite add up, you know? So this one here, next 15 seconds here, we might move this threshold down on Visa. That is, I got Visa on the left, Starbucks on the right. Give me just a moment here, guys. Just kind of watching to see where this candle here closes. As long as it closes below this line, we can do stuff. That's all I care about. There we go. All right, so this would be the long entry opportunity right here on Visa. Obviously, it's super high risk, so again, I'm not encouraging anyone to just jump into stuff. This one also gets to move up just a little bit, just a little guy. And that's Starbucks. So we're just gonna watch, just watching and waiting. So Visa may not get that pop to the upside, that short, small pop, but it may. And that's the cool part, is I don't have to predict. I don't have to be right, because I suck at it, right? I don't know a person on the planet that's good at successfully predicting the stock market. And I won't be the first one to figure it out, so why bother? Instead, what I can do is manage my risk and be really good at that, because that is very, very straightforward. It's very easy to do. Well, simple, I should say. It's not easy. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here teaching people. So what's everyone else up to? How did everyone do today? If you had a red day, type a be nice, but type a 4-letter word in the chat. If you had a green day, type a 3-letter word in the chat. This may cost me my job. Oh, well, there's one. There's two. It's a lot of words. Awesome. I'll take that. That's not 3 letters, but I'm assuming you had a green day. I should probably neutral. Okay. All right, so it looks like some of you guys had a good mix here. Some red, some green. Now, out of the people that had a green day, how was your day in terms of being a successful trading day? Meaning that you followed your trading plan from start to finish 100%. You didn't deviate. You didn't make any compromises. You didn't move a stop loss before it was time to move a stop loss. You didn't clip your profits. 3 and 4-letter word. That's true. Yeah, 7-letter word. It counts. Did you have an emotional day or a compulsion day? So remember, for Starbucks here, I'm super zoomed in, so it's going to look a little bit impulsy, but I'm looking for a bearish entry on this one, theoretically, right? Because again, I can't trade on this account, so we're just looking here for a break to the downside here. So because the price is moving up, that tells me it's not time to get in if I'm looking to the downside. Same with Visa, right? We kind of knew that there was likelihood for a push to the upside, and then I'm looking for a harder sell-off after that dies. Thank you, Chag. I got some new wrinkles for my birthday. It was pretty fun. I'm going to move the Starbucks level up here, just to the bottom of the candle, or the bottom of the wick specifically. Jag, I'm probably going to look a lot older by the time you see me in Chicago for Trader's Paradise 2025, sir. This move is, it's been rough. I love it. Let me pull up Snapchat here, by the way. Yeah, see, it's still garbage. You open the fridge, and then you close the fridge door, and then you open the fridge again. Nothing's changed. Well, that's the same with Snapchat, but it's a trash can. So it's good times. All right, and again, I'm super zoomed in here, so these candles might look super scary and stuff, but it's 1.8% on Visa. So not worth freaking out over. And then Snapchat here is, it's still red. Or Starbucks, I'm sorry. Snapchat or Starbucks is still red, right? So we're just now getting back to the closing price. I'm just super zoomed in so it looks cool. And I really want you guys to tell me if this, like seeing these move really fast and over great distances makes you feel stuff. Because if that's the case, then that's something we can work on. Because that is what's going to make you hurt yourself. I guarantee it. You still hug me in Chicago. Well, good luck getting your arms around me. I'm packing it on, buddy. All right, so right here we've got our 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so in this case, right, we have our bearish impulse, bullish impulse. Now that this candle is closing in 15 seconds, that will set us up for our bearish break to the downside. So I'm just going to move this line up here, and we have 10 seconds. So as long as this candle closes within the next 10 seconds above this level, we can expect our descent into the depths of hell potentially, right? And as always, we're going to wait for a confirmation. If we continue to push up, we'll just move this threshold up, right? Yeah, Jag. No, it's I'm still doing my thing. I just can't find time to update the channels. So this actually should have moved up here. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. And that is lifers, you guys, the lifetime members that I teach my strategy to. You guys can confirm that. It was just me not moving the line. That's not because it happens to be pulling down. I wasn't paying attention to this specific chart. But you guys can verify that this line, in fact, does belong here. And this would, in fact, be the short entry here. Now, we have to consider the risk range, right? So in this case, the risk range so far is about 0.87%. We typically shoot for about 3 to 5%. So let's go ahead and see what that would be. There's about 3%. These are rough ranges. I'm not super hardcore about the specific levels. Here we go. So I'm moving this one up as well for Visa. And we're just going to wait and see where that goes. So this one here showed an entry opportunity on Starbucks. This one here showed potential here so far for Visa. Okay, and we're just looking for impulses and reversion. That's the name of the game when it comes to earnings. It's not ever going to be about the results of the earnings, you know. So for everyone who likes Snapchat, I hope you guys have the same approach when it comes to earnings. I hope you guys have limited risk, high potential opportunities to the downside on this one, but I personally wouldn't trade it to the upside if my car was on fire. So you like Snapchat? The app or the company? I have to ask for legal reasons before we black bag you and send you off to a remote location. It's the only app you use. All right. Oh, there we go. So Visa, I can move my level up here. All right. So we're about 2% up after hours on Visa, right? And again, if I zoom in like this, it's like, oh, it's super dramatic price moves. Everything is going fast and blah, blah, blah. In reality, it's just 2%. So nothing super drastic there. You figure a lot of these companies go maybe 6 to 12% after hours. So we're just waiting. We're waiting and watching. TikTok is the devil's app. I hate it. I remember when it first rolled out, it was super, super sketchy. It was a bunch of like little girls like 8 to 10 years old dancing and stuff, or like their classmates and stuff, and then a bunch of creepy old guys. And it was weird. And then fortunately older adults got involved, and then there was, you know, older women dancing and cooking and, you know, videos of pets and a more diluted experience to kind of break up that sketchiness. So that's all right, but I hate that platform. I just don't like it. Okay, so I'm going to move the level up here on Visa again. So we're just going to wait and watch and follow it. And see, we didn't get our breaking pattern here on Starbucks, so I'm going to go ahead and zoom in, and then if that moves really fast up or down, it's going to look really cool. I'm pointing to the downside here. Only the filter was fun for, yeah, the filters are fun and all, but I don't think that I, as a developer, I probably wouldn't commit time to learning how to make those, knowing that people are just going to pick it up for like 5 seconds and then drop it. They'll take a couple pictures and harass each other, and that's about it. Sorry, I keep like minimizing my window over there. All right, so I can move the level up here on Visa again. Woohoo. I'm going to zoom in on this one too, because we should probably be getting pretty close here to drop back here below 348.50. There we go. So that would have been a bearish entry on this one. So let's just go ahead and draw it out. Sorry, it's super hot in this office, by the way. My windows are open and the sun is just like, I feel like a ravioli. All right, so I got to draw my range as well, right? My target range. And because we're not getting the 3%, because this range is insane, we're probably going to stick with like a 0.5% on this one. And then, you know, at that point, we like to lock a, you know, majority of our position and then let the rest run if appropriate. And if we take a loss, like this one right here, Starbucks, if and when that happens, that's okay, right? Because we have this risk management right here in place. Because the justification is, okay, here's a strong price pivot, and if the price comes back here and doesn't re-pivot or doesn't support that range, you know, and the price goes the opposite direction, I shouldn't be in it, right? So if it stops out, it's okay. It's small, it's insignificant. We shouldn't be, you know, destroying ourselves over doing the right thing. So it's very important to keep that mindset. This stream is not sponsored by Pepsi, but I have Pepsi. Plus, we can always just re-enter, right? That's the whole point of the stock market. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So we got a little bit more of a weight on Starbucks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and erase this box here. This level here is still valid. And this is going to be for a downside, right? So I'll just move this over here. And then on the Visa side, right, we've got a couple tricks we can use to assess kind of the probabilities, right? It's not a guarantee ever, but we do have some probabilities here. So in theory, if this holds below this high here, we should, in theory, come down to below 346. So we'll see if that happens or if it pushes, because we don't control any of that stuff. Oh, let me check Snapchat. It's still garbage, guys. I've told you, if I ever have like a sure play when it comes to earnings, it's going to be Disney and it's going to be Snapchat. I hate both companies, justifiably. All right. Oh, let me go ahead and color these boxes as well. As soon as I color them, the price is going to blast, I'm sure. That's how it goes. Only because I'm live streaming. All right. All right, so it looks like there's still a lot of indecision here on Starbucks. You know, we're getting a lot of like half setups, and then it just invalidates. So the play here, in my opinion, is still going to be to the downside. It's just a matter of getting a clean confirmation of the downside with minimal risk. So even if this candle here, you know, if this one pushed down, I would probably accept that. You know, that's less than 0.5% risk, and you can do that a bunch of times on reasonable sized positions. And then you've got like a 6-to-1 profit range down here, you know, so it's pretty nice. So basically the strategy is very simple, and I can tell you guys this because you're probably not going to be able to use it, right? Because a lot of it's discipline and psychology, but Basically, we're just looking for a series of candles that have the same shared attribute in that they either have higher lows or lower highs. And then that basically establishes a threshold. And then that threshold moves up and down as the impulses displace higher and lower. And then we just trade the opposite direction when the impulse ends. So in this case, we've gotten a series of 4, not 5. So the only instance here where we've had the actual setup is where this dashed line is, and that's to the downside. So there's no, well, we had one here, obviously, and then we had one here. So there's really no strong opportunities for us to the downside just yet. So this tells me, because we're not getting the full setup, there's too much push and pull, and that's why we're seeing that kind of chop. So it's very important to have strict rules in place when it comes to stuff like this. That way you're not trying to guess, you're not trying to anticipate, and you're just trading the way things are, right? Because once you put your ego into things and you try to like control the outcome, you're gonna have a very hard time. Like this one right here, for example. You know, the setup was beautiful. It was perfect. We invalidated. We had a super tiny risk right here, and it still just popped over that. And that's nothing you can control. That is circumstance. You can, however, control whether or not you're in, right? And that's what we do here. So this tells me we had a strong impulse, a shallow pullback, super shallow pullback, and then continuation to a new high, which tells me it's not healthy for me to be in this if I'm a short, because there's too much bullish strength right now. And this is why we don't stay in those trades. And instead, we have the opportunity here to take a 0.13% loss and move on, right? As opposed to continuing to hold this to God knows where while the strength kind of dissipates. So right now we're triple that, all right? And we could have avoided 2/3 of that, you know, that 0.39% loss just by using our stop loss. And that's what makes traders successful. It's not, you know, I knew this was going to go up, I knew this was going to go down. That doesn't work. What you do know is when you're going to get in that, right? I know it's not fun. It's pretty boring, but that is your job. And your job is, like on this account, I'm up 3.89% for the day. I'm done trading because I don't want to keep risking my money and putting in more work, more effort, more stress for less reward. And I know that 3 to 5% compounds ridiculously over the 250 plus trading sessions in a year. So my goal is to do less, and I'm very lazy and I love it because I don't have to slam my head into the wall all day, every day. So I'll ask the people in the chat here that answered they were red or green, they put 3 or 4 letter words. How much time did you spend working in the market today? Like total time, pushing buttons, not necessarily waiting for trades to play out unless you were watching them. But how much time do you think you guys committed? And how much thinking did you have to do? Yeah, see, like this one here counts, right? Because we got the 5. I guess I should move this up when it matters. But this is really what I look for right here. You guys see how tiny that risk is right there? Because what we're doing is we're looking for an impulse to stop. And then once the impulse stops, we're waiting for price to reverse. Once it reverses, in theory, that's when the price should be going in the direction I want it to go. It shouldn't be coming back. It shouldn't be testing this area again. It should just go, right? That's a directional trade. So all I need to do is find opportunities like this and then look for areas where the entry is clean and the risk is small. Okay? So in this case, you so far have like a 1 to almost 8 risk reward on this one specific setup. Now, the problem here is that this was only a 0.46% profit potential. And for a lot of people, that's not good enough. And that's what we talk about a lot in Lifetime, is finding that threshold of good enough versus, you know, continuing to grow and expand and scaling in and stuff. And this right here, this very simple concept, is what destroys most traders. It's not being right more, it's not being wrong more, it's not even the position allocation, it's when do you walk away with a profit? And that's where people just can't figure it out. You know, they get burned, they get stressed, they get frustrated, they get depleted, you know, emotionally, financially, and then you just have to give up. So I don't want that for you guys. I want you guys to have a better time. All right, Chad committed 1 hour across the day, waiting for something to come his way and not pushing. That's good stuff. So a lot of that time was just kind of looking for setups, right? Just kind of had stuff. Did you have a list that you were basing that on? Just a couple of tickers, like 3 tickers maybe? Charting change. Yeah, okay. So you're changing your levels, kind of like I am here, where I just kind of move the line up and down based on my strategy. Or are you going like multi-time frame for everything and being like, I got a level here, I got a level here, I'm going to draw a fib, and then we're going to draw a diagonal trend line that was invalidated. We're going to look for a wedge. Like, was it very succinct and easy? Or was it stressful and inconsistent? You do have a list? Okay, good stuff. That's what we like. So you go for the monthly, weekly, daily time frames. Okay, so you're talking more for swings, right? Doc Spears says, all my buys and sells are set, so other than watching and reporting on news in Discord, I didn't make any trades. Okay, that's good stuff. So you're kind of you're setting little traps, and you're just kind of an ambush predator. You just wait for the price to come down, smack your level, and kind of self-work. That's good stuff. This is the kind of stuff I like to see. Not pre-market. Let's check on Snapchat. I feel like it probably bounced by now a little bit. Yeah, it's starting to round out a little bit. It's rough. So, right, okay. So if we kick this up to like the 3 to 5 minute, right? Let's look at the 3 minute. I like 3 minute. I will trade this. I'll just trade the bounce, right? Now, we don't quite have a perfect 5 candle here. But what we do have is a very clean transition from absolute bearishness to a little bit of bullishness, and then we're transitioning back to bearishness. So what I can do is look for the last impulse, and I can say, okay, well, here's my $8 threshold. So if the price crawls back over $8, I will, let's see here, what did I have earlier? All right, sorry, I'm just trying to figure out the, like 4 shares, right? We don't need a whole lot. And I'm just going to use the last price because it's after hours. And you guys can watch, and I'll just show you how I do it. It's pretty straightforward. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to place the order separately. Okay, so I'm going to buy, then I'll create a new order, and then I'll sell. Okay, and the reason I want to do that is because it's after hours and I don't trust Webull. But I also have a pretty easy target here. Right, I got roughly 6%. Now that's below the fib level, and this tells me that if it hits my target, you know, it's recovering enough. Okay, if we just don't even hit that 25% pullback like what we're seeing, it should at least be coming up to here right now. But the fact that it's still trying to push a new low just means it's garbage. So we're gonna wait and see if this low holds, and then if we can get a little bit of a reversion above $8, then I'll trade it up to $8.48. Otherwise, I'll just walk away. But notice that I'm not jumping in now just because I see red candles. I'm waiting till I see a little bit of bullishness, a little bit of support step in. Then I'm letting the bears respond, and then I'll see the bullish response to that bearish response. So you kind of have to watch the conversation happen. Easy, no stress. I love it. That's what I love. That reminds me of the Chag that was with us in Florida, 2024. Bada bing. That was on the Zoom call. SMCI, yeah, SMCI is it's a rough one. You know, that's there's a lot of dependencies here, right? Now, I could probably trade this one too, but I don't like the way it looks. It's got some good volume on it. It's got better volume than Snapchat, but it's I haven't seen a bearish response to the bulls just yet. Plus, I would only be able to trade like 1 share, and 6% is it's around here, right? So above 30, almost $32. So I don't quite like it. That's not yummy to me, you know? So it doesn't mean it can't go up there or it won't go up there, but it just means for the risk exposure that I would have to commit to it, I don't like it. It doesn't fit my, you know, what I do as a job in that I manage risk. So we're seeing a little bit of a heartbeat here on Snapchat. So if I wasn't streaming, I'd probably just jump in and scalp this real quick, but you got to keep that risk super tight. But this would be the opportunity just for a quick scalp. Actually, I might just jump in on this one. We'll see. Just because I like it. Now I'm going to look at the order book and I'm going to look at the time and sales as well. I do see what I like here, so I'll probably, just got to look for two more things here really quick. And if that doesn't happen, I like that, okay. If that doesn't happen, then I don't want to be in this one. So let me just go ahead and make this full screen. We'll make it our entire focus right now. That way there's no distractions. Okay, so we have a ZR algo sitting on this one, which is where you get those symmetrical walls. I'm just looking for a couple of things here in the time and sales, and I want to make sure that the order book doesn't change. I like that. That's good. Yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and get in. Oh, no, I don't have enough. Okay, I'm going to buy a super, I mean, it's a smaller position here on Snapchat than what I previously had. And I'm going to get rid of this $8 threshold because we just entered. And then I'm going to go ahead and create a new order, and I'm immediately going to set it to sell. Whoops. That's going to be for my 3 shares. And I'm going to just leave this as last price as well. So very, very simple, very straightforward. I'm going to kind of let it dip below for a little bit. I'm okay with that. And what we're going to do is we're going to wait for the volume to surge back in. So it's a little bit complicated, but basically what I'm looking for is someone to trip these algos. The ZR is a zone recovery algo. It's sitting at both sectors here, above 8 and below 765. And basically what this is doing is it's setting us up for a nice bounce and or liquidity sweep. So what we'll typically see in a situation like this, let me just draw my polyline here. So we'll typically see like this is dipping below the low of the impulse, and then we're getting a super shallow pullback, which means we're typically get more aggressive short-term continuation in that same direction, which is what we're seeing. So everything's in line so far. But what we're probably going to see here is something like this. All right, and that's usually what we see in this kind of situation. So let's see if that plays out, because that should fulfill the mechanisms of supply and demand here. Now the alternative here is volume just steps in at any point and just pops the price up to a retracement, right? So that could happen as well. That's the ideal outcome because I don't want to spend a lot of time in this trade. And we'll just do that. All right, so we'll go ahead and wait. Now the pivots on these are pretty arbitrary. It's just understand these as like a lower low and then a higher high from this level, right? And then a lower low from this pivot, wherever that lands. And then a clean push up over 850 or 848, I guess. So that's my goal. We'll see if that's what we get for the day. And like I said, this is only designed. It's only there's like 2 algorithms that are sitting, 2 HFT algos that are sitting on this order book that I can see. And one of them already has split walls. So that tells me that they are looking for a run, a clean run, a strong run in either direction. Okay, the potential for an upside run is much stronger because of the way it's stacked. Okay, so in order to trigger that algo, the other algo needs to compel volume, right? Because what we're seeing here, if you look at the bottom here, you saw super strong volume here, and then you saw like a little peak right here when it stopped. Okay, and then you saw minimal response from the bullish side, which tells me they're allowing it to sit, and then you saw another resurgence into a doji with stronger volume, right? So that tells me there's something here. And what they're likely to do is they'll do this with the price. They'll do like one of these numbers. They'll just kind of heartbeat it. And then what that does is it drives up the volume. It's the same bot basically buying and selling shares in high frequency. And that compels all the momentum stocks to say, oh, here's a stock that's down 14% after hours. It's an earnings day. So it's already on their watch list. It says, okay, the volume's about to kick off. Okay. So all they do is they just pile in, and it compounds, and it gets pretty easy, pretty fast. But that's how they make their money. But we'll see. Like that part can happen at any time. That's a special move that we're going to reserve, that someone can just decide to wash sale it and just pump it, right? We don't know if that's going to happen. Here's the little heartbeat. I'll zoom in so you guys can see it. You're just going to see a little bit like this. So just look for that heartbeat. There's a little piece of it. And if you watch the order book or the time in sales, you can also see that it's flushing like similar order sizes, like 4 of those 600 blocks in a row, bunch of 125s in a row. And then what we're going to see here is this is going to speed up. We're starting to see a good mix of red and green and white, right? So that tells me there's good participation across exchanges and across brokers. And then once we see that good mix, speed, and then we're going to look for magnitude. And the magnitude is really where the pops happen. That's when you get like here's a 2,000, that's okay. We need a bunch of those. We need like a 6,000, a 10,000, 8,000. We just need a bunch of those to flood in. And that's when we see the biggest, nastiest pops. And that's all we're looking for. Just to, like, I don't expect this to push up to a new high. I just want a little bit of a pullback, a little bit of a retracement, just to ease the burden from being overextended, quote unquote, from that strong impulse to the downside after earnings. So we'll see if we get that. These are my 2 outcomes. I have a very specific plan here, and it doesn't rely on guessing, okay? And that's my advantage as a successful trader, is that I don't guess. I just watch to see what is, rather than trying to jump in front of the what if. That's all I got to do. So if you're doing the other side of that and you're trying to guess and you're jumping in and chasing candles or chasing red candles, you're going to have a hard time. And unfortunately, it's going to be people like me that take your money. And I hate to see it, but I'd much rather have you on this side so that you don't hurt yourself and you don't have difficult conversations with your spouse, because we can avoid all that. All right, so I'm going to zoom in on this candle as well. What you're seeing here is a little bit of a haymaker, and this is, again, an attempt to drive the volume up. So you're seeing strong pushes to the downside, and then they get chopped back up. So that tells me that this the second high-frequency trader algo, the HFT one, is attempting to push into liquidity so that they can wash sell. Okay, and that tells me they're just going to fill a bunch of orders really fast on both sides, and they're going to see if anyone else steps in, and if they do, they'll pump that volume as hard as they can. So this is kind of this move, right? It's the first leg right here. That's what we're seeing. So at any point, this can bounce from here up to a high over this range. Okay. And then at that point, once it's above this level, we could shoot straight up to this guy, or we could pull back down, push a new low, grab all that liquidity. So I'll just draw a box over here. Because again, I don't know exactly where the highs or lows will be, but I know what the general approach should be. And you can see the order book here hasn't changed. We still have the symmetrical walls. We still have the other guy split on the bid, and we've got a pretty far out range here on the ask side that we can watch. So there's definitely something cooking here. It's just a matter of waiting and making sure we're in place. Does this all make sense so far? I know I'm kind of talking about a bunch of different stuff. But you can see here, I'm not just blindly buying something and holding it because I'm guessing that it's going to go up or down, right? I've got a very clear plan, and it's based on how the market works rather than just how I want it to go, right? So what we're going to get when we form this low, I'll draw a line here just so you guys can kind of visualize it. What we're going to see is a range, right? We're seeing the impulse, the short-term ease, the very shallow retrace, and then we're seeing a push into a range. So this is locking the price. Okay, think about it like grabbing a balloon. Okay, the air trapped in the balloon is held in by the skin that goes around it. Okay, and what we're gonna do is, like, this is our balloon. These 2 dashed white lines, that's our balloon. The air inside is the price action. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take one hand, okay, when it pushes up, and that's gonna just grab the balloon really hard, and it's going to kind of tighten it. It's going to pull the skin of the balloon a little bit tighter, but only on one side, okay? And then what we're going to do here is we're going to go down with the other hand, and we're going to squeeze the other side and just kind of pull it apart like an accordion. And then once we get to a certain point where the balloon can't stretch anymore and the air is nice and compressed, what's going to happen is we're just going to rip it apart, right? And we're going to just destroy that balloon. And that's going to release everything, ideally in the direction we want it to. And that's all I'm looking for. So right now, we're in the balloon. and we're waiting for that other hand to just, the first hand to just come in there and grab it. It's going to grab it real hard. Let's look at SMCI, by the way, while we're reading. Yeah, that's why we don't chase those, right? So again, super shallow pullback. We've got, we did hit the 25%, so at this point, this would no longer be a safe entry for an upside. We should, in theory, then be seeing a lower low based on what I currently see. We got a bunch of ZR algos on this, so many split zones. This thing's going to be a disaster one way or the other. A lot of potential, but I don't like it. All right. So if we break over this candle here, we should be having a pop. I don't know why my voice broke there. We can see here we got a 50K wall here at 775. So they are definitely trying to keep it in range. And then where's the other? Okay, so the other guy's still split up here in the 740, 750s, and then 760s. And then on the ask side, we've got $8 and then plus, so 825 and things like that. So we'll see. But I also want to point out a very important concept here, and that is going to be, I'm going to go to baseline here. Sorry for the noise, by the way. This window's super loud. This is what I want to look at. This is how I trade, because if I take the baseline chart and I put my my average at the midline, this is what I want to see. I want to see most of my time being spent in bullish territory, because that's how I know that I'm managing my risk properly. Okay. So if I look at WW, which is what I traded this morning, and I don't remember exactly where I got filled. It was somewhere, I think it was like 78 or something like that. It was off this little rip right here. If I zoom out and then I compress this, you know, if you look at just this range right here, okay, this is what my trading looks like most of the time, because I'm allowed a little bit of drawdown, but most of my time is up here in profit-taking territory, and that's because I want to deal with my risk exposure on my own terms. I don't want the price to be down here and then have to figure out whether or not I should buy or sell, or if I can make something come back, or any of that stuff, because that's chaotic. It's too stressful. So when I'm looking at something like this, this is a healthy risk exposure, this part, not the pre-market. So that's my goal for you guys. And we're going to talk a lot about that in Chicago specifically for Trader's Paradise here. So I'll just kind of move this down. Okay, so my average is down here. All right. Oops, it's over. Yeah. All right. Does that concept make sense to everybody? Like, we want to be able to be professional managers of risk, not professional guessers, because that's not going to work for you. And if anybody knows somebody in their life or on the internet that's successfully guessed and made it, I'd love to have them on a stream. I'd love to chat with them and figure out how they found their way, because that's it's interesting. It's funny that this line, I mean, I'm zooming in super far, but if I pull back out, it looks like it was right there. That's pretty cool. I like it. So this number down here, I'm just looking for that to get to 6%, by the way, the P&L on the snap shares. So right now we're at 0.64, 0.77%. Sorry, it's super hard to see. That light is bright. All right. And guess what happens? Like, I know that people are probably watching this and they're probably like, mad, right? Because what happens is most of the time when people try to trade earnings, they get caught in this like first little whiplash, right? They buy something, they don't take profit, or they do take profit and they're mad because it keeps going. Ultimately, when the price sells off like this, they try to chase in and grab each of these candles, and you can see that by all these wicks, right? People are buying these actively as the price is falling down. Okay, that just doesn't make sense to me personally, other than people just trying to catch the dip, right? Because that's what you're told to do by everybody on YouTube, and that's what the institutions want you to do. So we're not going to do that. We're going to be a little bit smarter. We're going to be a little bit more conservative with our money. All right. So instead of buying it on the way down, trying to catch the bottom, most people would look for something like this, and then they'd say, okay, well, I'm not going to buy the bottoms anymore. I'm not going to buy red candles. I'm going to buy the first green candle I can because I still want to get in, right? So either way, if you buy any of these candles, price comes down here, you stop out, and then you see that bounce to the upside. Okay, that is an emotional roller coaster, because right here, what you've done is you've accepted a loss, which was good. You've done the right thing if you've managed it and it's a small loss. But then you see a different end result than you could see in real time, and then you beat yourself up. Because right here, if you stopped out on this candle right here, okay, because you bought these two candles and you were hoping for a 50% retracement, this candle would have stopped you out, and then you would have seen this, and the price dipped a little bit lower, and then it's pushing back up. And you would blame yourself for that, despite not knowing any of that stuff when the price was over here, and you couldn't see any of that. What you saw is the price going against you, and you made the right call in the moment. So praise yourself for that. Don't beat yourself up for that just because the confirmation bias kicks in and you see something you had no access to. I can't predict the future. You can't predict the future. The human brain is notoriously bad at it. Like how, here's a good example, right? Everybody here's heard of two for flinching, right? It's somebody comes up to you and just kind of mimics like they're going to hit you. You flinch, and they probably hit you, right? That's what trading is. It's exactly that. You're presented a piece of information that presents risk. You react healthily, and you don't want to get hit, and you protect yourself. And then in doing so, you get judged. Usually it's self-imposed. And then you end up getting hit anyway, even harder, because you didn't remove yourself from the risk, right? So if somebody says two for flinch and I'm walking away, I'm not going to stand there and let them hit me because that's dumb, and then I'm going to hit them back and we're both going to get in trouble. But if somebody tries to posture and like tries to scare me because they're going to hit me, I'm going to do two things, and I already know this. I'm either going to hit them immediately, or I'm going to walk away and remove the risk altogether, right? So I don't subscribe to the two for flinching game. I get it, but it's dumb. But that's effectively what most people do in the market. It's that anticipation. Then they second guess themselves, and then they get hit even harder, right? Because of their willingness to stay there. Okay. So it's a rough little journey till you figure that kind of stuff out. But your job is to manage risk. So the better you manage risk, the better you'll do in the market. And I know the lifetime members are probably sick of hearing me say that, but that chat has it's changed. I love it. You guys are doing awesome in there. You're getting a few minutes worth of work a day, and you're walking away. That's beautiful. So you guys will be me soon. I love it. I'll have company up here in New York. Always good to be reminded. Yeah, absolutely. I've been doing this for a decade and a half. Like, I talk to myself just as much as I talk to you guys. It's all part of the process because I know myself. If I don't constantly keep myself accountable, I'll do something silly. It's just part of it. That's why I don't look at my bigger accounts all day, every day, because I know that I'll succumb to that temptation stuff. Never sick of hearing me. Well, I'm never sick of hearing you, Chag. We're going to have a good time in Chicago. Let me put that link in the chat, by the way, for anybody here who is able to make it. You guys, there's no pressure, but if you want to trade in the room with me in real time and the other staff, I'll put on YouTube as well. I encourage all you guys to at least check it out. Like I said, there's no pressure. We do have a 40% discount that is going until May 9th, and I don't want to do a sales pitch or any of that stuff. I'm just putting it in front of you guys because it can be valuable to you. And I'm not one of those people that just shoves products, and you guys know that, hopefully. But I am looking forward to Trader's Paradise. I'm looking forward to being in the room with the team again. I think last year we had a pretty good time. We got some life-changing stuff. It's going to be amazing. David G, that's a good question. This doesn't include airfare, right? But it does include hotel rooms. So you do have to pay for your own room. But we do have a discounted room block. So the last year was in Delray Beach. It was a very high-end resort. And we just wanted to make the first one extra special. And this year we committed to making it a lot more affordable so that more people could come. So now that we kind of got the fancy one out of the way, we can get the cheaper one. And this one is also, we're giving you guys more time. So it's not It's not like we're going to lock you in the room at 7 a.m. and just grill you for 10 hours, right? And then 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night, you guys are exhausted, right? That's too much information. So we want to make sure we give you guys enough balance at this one. So, but no, just in terms of answering your question, you do have to pay for your own hotel room, but we get a discounted rate. Plus, we get the 40% off the ticket pricing, which kind of balances out with the room stuff. So it's pretty nice. We got 3 tiers of tickets. We've got 2 days. So the first 2 days, Monday, Tuesday, June 9th and June 10th. That's the cheapest one. That's 40% off also. I think it's like $600. The next one is 3 days. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That I think comes out to about $900 after the 40% discount. And then unfortunately the gold one, that's all 4 days. That last day is going to be like super special. That's got to be full price. Unfortunately, I don't have any control over that, but that's where we get all the good stuff. So sorry, my throat's dry. Thank you, Jake. I'm glad you were there, man. I just remember sitting in the chair as everyone was like leaving to the hotel, and he's just chilling in an NVIDIA trade, like 70% up. He's like, I don't want to take profit yet. And it's like, must be nice, man. No, it was good. I had a good time. You guys should do a paid live room trading paradise. You mean like a live stream? While we're there? That one, how do you protect losses after market is stop loss are not active? So those you have to use limit orders, and you can use like limit offsets and things like that. But yeah, you're right. So stop loss orders are basically market orders with an extra step. So a stop loss order, basically you pick a limit, like a price, but it's not a limit order. If price falls below, assuming it's a actual stop loss, not a buy stop order, and once that triggers, then it once market price triggers it, then the exchange converts it to a market order and executes it as fast as possible. So because it is based on market price, it doesn't work during extended hours. So pre-market, after hours, all that stuff. That's why stop losses don't work, and that's why buy stops also don't work. So you have to use limit orders, and you have to have it include extended hours turned on. Okay, so in order for that to, I'm sorry, am I having some audio issues here? Let me pull up my voice meter. You guys can hear me okay, right? Is the volume too low? Loud and clear? Okay, let's get you in the Discord. Sorry, that's weird. All right, so if you're having trouble hearing me on YouTube or Twitch or whatever other, I think we're on X as well, I put the link in the chat so you guys can join me in the Discord. Just go ahead and go to that page. It's 100% free. There's just a free Discord role. Connect your Discord in WAP, and then you guys can jump in the live stream, and we can all chat in Discord, and we can have fun. Sorry, I don't know why the audio is being weird. What's up, Karatsky? Glad you're here. Yes, what was I talking about? We were talking about Traders Paradise, and we were talking about stop losses, right? So stop losses are they're ineffective outside of market hours. So what you'd have to do basically is, let's say you've got, let's say the price is right here, and you've got a stop loss right here that you want to use. Okay, so what you'd have to do is wait manually until the price comes down here, unless you have an API or some sort of automated trading platform like TradingView allows you to send webhooks and stuff. So unless you've got that all set up already, you just kind of have to watch the price. You can set an alert and all that good stuff if you want to, but once the price comes down here, you kind of have to place a limit order and then hope that everyone else isn't also setting their sell orders, because what's going to happen is the price will just cascade. And when you, let's say I have this price here at 785, if it's plummeting 10 cents every couple seconds, I need to really get ahead of that, which means I need to put a lower limit or use an offset of some kind in order to make the most of that. Otherwise, it won't get filled, and the price will just keep falling, and I'll keep chasing it. So on Webull, you can set a limit sell order, and then you can just drag it up and down. Like you can click and drag it, which is good. But if you're on a phone, that's a lot more clicks. It's a lot more time. So you really have to be very precise about, you know, what you plan to try to trade and how you do it. And you just have to have like a slightly wider range, and you have to be willing to accept that extra padding if you're adding more steps to the mix, if that makes sense. Like you have to kind of get ahead of the price movement. So for here, for example, if I wanted to cut the price here at my break even, I'd probably set my stop loss down here like 765 or limit sell order, sorry. And then I would just have to accept it. So I hope that makes sense. Yeah, exactly. If I'll read that for the live stream here on YouTube and stuff. Dat one says, thanks, was thinking of someone who owned SMCI. They just got screwed if they were not watching. Yeah. And sometimes what you can see also is that a stock that that sells off drastically like this, if it's a cheaper stock or if they're unstable or if they just want to pause for a news catalyst, they can pause indefinitely for like 2 weeks, and they could just delist while they're paused. So you got to be very careful with these earnings trades, offerings, anything like that, splits, and that's kind of, if you see this here, SFES, this was kind of a calculated move, but they did a going dark transaction, which is just a forward split and a reverse split before they delist. These shares, even though there's only 18 of them and they were like $1 a piece, these shares, when they fulfill the going dark transaction, I'll get a 97% profit return on these $18 because they're going to give me like $1.97 or something, or dollar whatever it was per share. So I got ahead of that, and you know, I'll get that money, but the problem is they're just sitting in my account. So if I go to my open P&L, it's going to say like 1734, blah, 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 but I've only got 3 of these shares, and the profit here is, you know, it's much smaller than $18 or whatever, right? So got to be mindful of holding onto those shares, especially if something sells off drastically or if something halts. So SMCI, I don't see them halting and delisting anytime soon, but you never know. So that's why it's important to allocate appropriately and to be aware of these kinds of catalysts, because if you're going to trade through earnings, you have to watch it. You have to be comfortable with the risk or accept the loss, right? It's going to happen one way or the other. It's going to go up or down. And the important part here is to understand that you don't control that part. You don't control whether something goes up or down or how far. You only control whether or not you're in it. It's like just, you know, pretend you're standing in front of a table and there's 3 metal pots and they all have water in them. You can't see any steam or anything like that, but you know one of them is hot, really, really hot. And you're just going to stick your hand in each one and hold it there. So that's what you're doing when you're buying and holding. Hopefully you get the right pot. Hopefully you don't get scar tissue and nerve damage and lose your hand from sepsis and all that stuff. But you only got to be wrong once, and then it's devastating. So, you know, rather than doing all that, let's dip a finger in, you know, see how it goes. Just dip it in, pull it out really fast. Was it warm? You don't have to scald yourself. All right, so right here, what we're seeing is this range. Let me just, I'm going to move this level up here. So this is the balloon, right? So so far we've seen, I'm sorry for anyone who's just joined us, by the way, you have no idea what I'm talking about here. So basically we saw the impulse, the relief bounce, the continuation, right? Because the bearish pressure was too strong. Then the exploit, okay? So this is the re-entry to compel people to get in, followed by a short-term stop loss. And then we have 2 things left that we could see. We could see a dip below. The liquidity is now right here. All right, and then this comes up to here. So we can either see a sweep down here and then a blast, or we can just release from here and push to the upside. Now, I don't see it coming down here and just continuing lower, but that's also an opportunity. But the probability for an upside move is much higher in this case, and that's my job, is to have a plan, have a reason for that plan, and then have an exit for that plan. So as long as I do that, I'll be fine. So this is more of a slow recovery play. It's not going to be a huge fast scalp unless that volume really steps back in. And you can see here as well, if you just look at these 2 candles, right, they're relatively similar in size, okay? This one has much more volume. This one has much less volume. It's about 2/3 the volume, I think, somewhere around there. So this candle was able to achieve a relatively equal distance on 2/3 the volume. So that tells me the volume here to the upside is more potent. Now that's just one small factor. Obviously we have taken into context, but this tells me this is the area where I wanted to start really having a little bit more conviction in this setup. And chloroseptic. So in this case, I'm just kind of hanging out and letting the trade work. I don't have to sit here and stare at each candle and feel emotions, right? That's how you hurt yourself. I don't need to be, tearing myself apart and second guessing everything and be like, it's this next candle is going to be red. I know it. Or, but if I sell it, it's going to blast as soon as I do, blah, blah. Like, that's crazy. It's hard to hear me. I'm sorry, guys. Let me check my microphone. How about that? Does that work? Let's try that. Sorry for the guys that are on the YouTube. Hopefully that fixed the audio. I know there's a little bit of a delay, so feel free to take your time answering. But hopefully that fixed that. Better? Okay. I'll put the link here as well for you guys. If you want to just jump in the Discord, it's 100% free. But you'll have a little bit better access, I think, if you're willing to go through all that. It's just a free roll, and then you just got to connect your Discord on one. Sorry, I'm trying not to cough a bunch. All right. So it looks like we have the one hand on the balloon. We've got the other hand on the balloon. We're just waiting for that pop. Okay. So that may be coming here pretty soon. We're just looking for a break over either this high here or this low here. Okay. So what we've got effectively is a zone, and this is where the zone recovery algos kind of do their thing, right? They're looking for a push into this zone and then to see if the volume on the ask side is hitting at a sufficient enough rate, a burn rate, to release the price to the upside. Okay. If it's not, they'll push the price back into the zone, control it, blah, 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 blah. We're less than halfway through the range, so we're good. Or I'm good. Okay. But that's what they're going to be looking for, which tells me I need to start looking at the order book and the time and sales. So again, for the time and sales, we want three things. We want a good mix of red, white, and green, which we're kind of getting. We need speed, and we need, there we go. There's some speed. Now we need some magnitude. So we need bigger orders, these 4 or 5 figure orders. We need those to start flooding in and with some violence, right? And then that's when we can see, we'll watch this number here on the ask on the order book get smaller and smaller and smaller. And then we'll see this 797 wall shift up, and then it'll get chipped down, chip. And then it'll get split between both these sides into a smaller one, which is probably 1,000 or 1,200 on each side. Okay. So that's what I'm going to be looking for. And those of you guys that have been with us for a while, you guys kind of know that pattern. We're just kind of waiting. Here we go. Here's a good wall. So they just added a 2,500 wall and then removed it immediately. So now we're back to the 795 wall. We're going to add to it. There we go. There's a outside fill. So things are starting to heat up here. I'm really interested in the 797 wall. So watch this 5011 and 3510. So these two, these are volume threshold tests. So basically what that's saying is that, let me just move this over here. Let's say this 848 level here has a wall. What that's doing is saying they're going to run the price up into this, and then there's another algo sitting up here that's absorbing these. If he's smaller or depletes, then they'll release the price to the upside. Okay, so that's all I'm looking for right here. Is I'm just looking for a battering ram to smash through that absorption range. Now it could be the same bot, because if you look at this volume here, that's kind of what they like. They want to drive the volume up to induce all the momentum algos to jump in, and then they'll release the price and let them carry the price up higher for them. You guys talking about me having a heat stroke? I moved a lot of furniture. I probably got a little bit of a cold. I've been sniffly all day. It's also hot in this room and I'm wearing a hoodie. I'll be okay. We got this. So we're back here at the sub 8 level. And we're just waiting, right? We can see that there's some 4 digits. You know, we got a good handful of them here. We got a little bit of mix here. Now we really need that speed and magnitude. So here's some magnitude. I like that big little flood of it. Doesn't really matter what side it's on. Green does not mean buy and red does not mean sell necessarily. It just means those are the order side that it was filled on. So the bid or the ask. Okay. So let's see what we get. Ooh, that's a good one. 6,400. We like that. Let's do more of those. So that was a push down and then a chop back to the upside. So it was a mid fill. And that's good. That's what we want. Oh, Snowflake, you're not feeling good, buddy. severe headache and definitely dehydrated, but I just got my good loader back. Oh, that's true. It's Tuesday. Congrats, man. Do you have air conditioner in there? And are you in close proximity to a Gatorade, not just a water? You need minerals, sir. Otherwise, the water is just going to dilute. I mean, drink water too, but if you have like a Gatorade, that's better. If you've got like a G0, right? Because you got the diabetes stuff. 100 degrees in the old loader? Yeah, no thanks, sir. You've been hydrating. That's good. Yeah, get those electrolytes. Drink some Brondo. All right, so right here we can see an 18K wall now on the $8 level, and we have an 833 with a 27,779. So they're definitely gearing this for a release to the upside. So all I need to do is be there until either it stopped going or it gets to my predetermined target, at which point I don't care if it goes higher, right? So I really think there's a one size order on the ask at 795. I love that during this kind of setup. Chugging Brondo. Okay. That's good. Yeah, I don't want you to get hyperkalemia. Don't do that. That's not good for your heart. Basically, you don't get enough water. Your kidneys don't do their thing. Excess potassium in your bloodstream could lead to a heart attack. Blah, 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 blah. Sodium also. So make sure you take care of yourself. Get some rest. Sounds like a relief. Nobody. No. Like a 4-day stay in a hospital is fun and all, but getting that bill. Not good risk management. That's not the kind of debt that you can collateralize. It's tax-free, but you don't want to do that. All right, we should be getting ready here. I mean, we're kind of they're holding back a little bit. We still see these big fills though, so that's good. Looks like they're just kind of an ebb right now in the volume because they're waiting to see who's going to go first. So this is the first phase of those volume threshold tests. They're just seeing if anyone's going to push the price through for them. So at this point, we're not seeing that. So the next step is to artificially inflate the volume. So they're going to buy and sell and wash sale back and forth over and over and over again in the hopes that momentum algos are also watching this, which they should be, then to release the price and carry it to the upside. If not, they'll try to run it back down through the range and do the same thing to the bottom. If there's not enough short support, then they'll push it back up and we'll stay in the range, right? But for right now, it looks like we're pushing this, and it looks like we just got a pretty sizable, there's a 12.8K. Sorry. All right, so we're officially out of the range. Now we need to see if that volume is going to step in and supersede this one right here. So we've got volume at 183,279. We need about 60K more volume in the next 30 seconds. So I'm pretty confident here that we're going to get our push. So let me, I'll just zoom out here so it looks like we know what we're doing. And then I'll just look for a sale around 848 or a little bit higher. Does this all make sense so far? I think we should really spice up after this $8 level. But you can see this 797 wall here is a volume threshold test, and we got two small ones on the other side of that. This is the other algo that's sitting in the other side of the volume threshold test to absorb. So that should get decimated as soon as this one chips down. So this will probably get chipped down to like 3K, and then you'll see two more walls pop up on this side. And then this one will just jump right to the top. And then you'll see like 15K, 14K, 12K, 10K, 8K, and then they'll pull it. And then you'll see bigger walls over here, and the price will jump up. And we've got clean runway till about 833, which should also pop because at that point you'll have the volatility algos jumping in. And we should be good. Now, if the volume doesn't step in and the wash sale is unsuccessful, then they'll run it down through the range, at which point we can just we can either call it or we can just wait for that rejection to fail. Does that make sense? Don't don't get a DNR. I mean, I think everybody should have one, or not a DNR. She's power of attorney. I meant POA. I don't think everyone should have a DNR. Take that back. Strike that from the record. We kind of need people to be in the planet here. But yeah, end of life care is definitely a discussion most people in this country are unwilling or uncomfortable having, and that leads to a lot of discomfort at the time that you have to have it. You know, so it's better to get that stuff kind of sorted out ahead of time. All right, so the opposing algo's walls are split. There they are. Look at that. Boop, boop. Two little guys right there. So now we're going to watch this one. This is insignificant. We can ignore this one. This $8 level here, it's 18,473. We're going to watch that just get chipped down like 2K, 1K, 2K at a time. And then that's when the volume should just jump in, and there we go. So let's watch this right here. Chipping. So they're going to keep adding to it to replenish the burn rate. And then we'll see whether or not that's enough for them to pull the wall. So we really got to keep an eye here in the top corner of the time and sales here. And this ask side. All right. So that's where my attention is. That's where my eyes are at this point. They're all right in this area of the screen. So I'm noticing the price action. I'm noticing this $8 wall on the ask, and I'm noticing the top few, maybe the top 4 or 5 here on the time and sales. That's all I look at. I'm not going to be looking up here for new tickers, and I'm not looking down here to adjust my order. I'm just looking right here in this little zone. Okay. So those of you that are watching the camera, you'll probably see that I'm like turned like this in my chair, but I can move it over to this screen if you guys want. This is just how I'm most comfortable trading because I do it in the background. I don't have to work at this all day. Doesn't matter what size account I'm on. It's always just a passive thing. Unless I'm live streaming with you guys, at which point then, yeah, I'm looking at the chart, obviously. All right, so it looks like they pulled the 2 walls on the bid side, the 2 little guys. They pushed them down a little bit. So it looks like we're gonna do like a rally / psych. So basically what's gonna happen is they're gonna look like we're rejecting. They're gonna follow this down aggressively with walls, and as soon as that threshold breaks, they're just gonna chop it up to the upside. In most cases, I can't say for sure that's gonna happen, but that's what it looks like they're setting up to do. So basically they have a buy stop and they're just gonna follow the price down. So we'll see which way it goes. But as soon as one of these walls on the ask side breaks, that's it's going to be fun. Yum, 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 yum. Delicious Pepsi. Actually, it's warm and it's nasty, but I don't like soda that much anymore. But I also want to point out here, if we look very carefully, look at where most of my time is spent. I got a little bit of time here in the drawdown territory, right? And then I spend most of my time up here in take profit territory. Okay. Does that part make sense? Like, is that does that seem like a more reasonable way to trade? Ooh, I'm liking this. So they're adding, so they're replenishing the 788 wall. And then for some reason, it just keeps popping right back up to the top. So I think here pretty soon we should see our move. It's just a matter of kind of letting them manipulate stuff. But you can also see every single candle here since this one has had lower volume. So once we exceed that volume, 135 to 151. So I'm going to draw 2 vertical lines, and I'm going to blow your mind and predict that the next 2 candles should see our pop. If I get it right, you guys have to buy me a Lamborghini. And if I get it wrong, you have to buy me a Subaru. Color is your choice. Hot Wheels. Yeah, it could be Hot Wheels. The insurance will be cheaper. Does Hot Wheels make a Lamborghini? Do I have the rights? Is that the new legal landscape? No idea. There's only one way to find out. Who here's got a 3D printer? We're going to get in trouble. Hey, there you go. Can we melt down a bunch of pennies and see what we get? All right, so this candle or the next candle, guys. Let me just erase everything here. I'll erase all these drawings. So I'm gonna be one of the dum-dums here, and I'm gonna draw my target at 848. And we're gonna go on a little prediction spree here, and we're gonna say that the price is gonna go to 848 in the next 2 candles. Does that mean we're gonna be right? You decide. Let me zoom in too so it looks epic. And by epic, I mean when it sells off and falls down, it makes me look like a goof. You want a Camaro work at a Christmas party a few years ago? That's awesome. It was a Hot Wheels. That sounds like a fun place to work. Get your hopes up. Destroy them. Yeah, Hot Wheels, little toy cars. I don't know if you're in the Discord. You probably can't see that half of the conversation. Sorry about that. All right, we're getting a little bit of green here. All right, so again, I am interested in this $8 wall here. It's 25K. We have the same setup here, right? Tiny walls on the bid side, bigger walls on the ask side, $8 and $8.33. And that's all we need. So we have another 4 minutes and 20 seconds. So happy 420 for everybody. And once we break over 8, we should break over 8:48. What time frame? I'm on the 3-minute time frame for this one. That's a great question. I forgot to mention that. But I haven't changed. It's always been on the 3 minutes since we started this analysis. I kind of filtered through like the 1 minute, 2 minute, 5 minute, 3 minute picking this time frame, but I landed on the 3 minute. All right, so what I'm going to do here instead of watching, well, we'll leave it. We'll let paint dry. I was going to switch over to like Visa. All right, we're going to really slow heartbeat situation here. Come up here and hit this. Hit it. There we go. Good job. Yeah, so we'll just kind of hang out and watch. We have 3 minutes and 20 seconds. So you guys decide, am I going to look like a fool for trying to predict, or is it going to flesh it all out and make for a really good clip for YouTube? The lifers already know. I don't predict. There's no point. But mechanically, that should push to 848. All right, moment of truth. The next 188 seconds are the most important of my life. Will I be embarrassed on the internet? Or will I make 90 cents and be happy? Or was it $1.40 or something? Should I cut my profits right here? Retire undefeated? These are the things that go through like new traders' minds. They're just like, I don't want to risk it. I'm up 1.9% on my 3 shares. I don't want to watch it disappear. But then they'll hold something down 28% on 90% of their portfolio because they don't understand how to differentiate the two. You know, it's not good for your mental health or your financial well-being to do that. Snowflake. I'm not attacking Snowflake. He gets a day off. He's had a rough day, but it's his birthday today. He got his loader back. Congrats on the new old loader. All right, we got about 90 seconds left. Cutting it close. I might have to give up trading for a living. We're seeing a little bit of a heartbeat. I'm going to drink some Pepsi real quick. What I'm looking for specifically is for this current candle to have more than 75,000 volume. Are we going to get that today? We're at 56,000 volume. So we need like 20K more. Ooh, 77. All right, so here we go. Final 60 seconds. We should see that pop. In theory, right? We can't ever guarantee it, but that should be the theoretical pop. I draw my orange line. I make it nice and fat so it looks like we planned it. And I'm going to erase this vertical line here as well. We have 35 seconds or 38 seconds. It'll probably be like the next candle after that or something because I put a time limit on it. I've been a fool. Oof, we're at 17 seconds left. It's getting hairy here. I don't know. I don't know if we're going to make it. 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2. Nope. Looks like I lose. Womp womp. Good thing that wasn't a binary option. But that's okay. Right? Prediction is unreliable and I'm bad at it. At least we got the volume. But either way, the fact that this didn't sell off drastically is good. So now we just zoom out. Was that exciting for you guys? Do I get the pick? What's the pick? Oh, hell yeah, it's my Hot Wheels. I love it. Thank you. I'm going to park it in my garage right on the shelf. I've made it. I'm an established Lambo owner. Is that what they call themselves? Lambo owners? They really should have thought that through. Not good. Not good, guys. We got to make it go viral now. That's okay. If why don't you? Are you coming to Chicago with us for Traders Paradise? If you could bring it with you, I can bring my camera and my lighting, and we can take like professional showroom pictures and like the, I guess by like the smoking area or something, wherever has concrete. I guess. I don't really know. We'll have to find a spot. We'll do like a long exposure with some light painting to really highlight the contour of the car. And then we'll add a little bit of Photoshop to it, some shine. I like it. I think we're heading down the right path there. How is SMCI, speaking of down and paths and stuff? All right, so it's kind of doing the same thing, right? We see the same pattern. You got the strong impulse, you got the relief bounce, then you've got the, oh crap, right? People that chased are panicky a little bit, and then it's starting to recover a little bit. So this is a skelly foot for those who have been paying attention to my crap for a long time. And that is because, let me just look this up here. The reason I call it that, let me see if there's a different view. If I can just rotate it. I'm just looking for a specific image there. That'll work. I like it enough. Thank you, Shutterstock. So this is effectively what we're doing here. I can't rotate it, unfortunately. That's a fat foot. Whew. I'm just kidding. They probably stopped their LASIKs, though. Yeah, that's a much better picture. Yes. For what I'm trying to demonstrate. So this is an X-ray of a foot. So that's why I call it that, because this is the heel. Now this one has a wick, so it's a little bit less fleshed out, but pretend this is solid. You know, that's kind of the heel bone here. And then you've kind of got the, all the way up into here, and then you've got your toesies, right? That's why I call it that. So for this one, if we go down to like the 1 minute, you know, you don't really see that same setup, okay? And that's why we're not on the 1 minute. The 1 minute is clean for, you know, higher highs, lower lows, but it also has a lot of wicks on the way down. So that's why I chose not to use the 1 minute. It's just a little bit too messy, you know? I like things that are clean, Now the pivots are clean. I like those, but I can't trust those confirmations because they all have, opposing wicks and they exceed each other's ranges. So go to the 2 minute, you get kind of the similar thing. It's just a lot of wicks and it's just kind of messy. But if you go to the 5 minute, that's a little bit too clunky. It's too, there's not enough information, right? So that's kind of why I landed on the 3 minute here. And that's just what I personally enjoy for this. There's no wrong answers, but I can read this chart the best, and it gives me a good mix of readability versus versus opportunity. Oh, you got to jump out? Okay, Doc. Thanks for showing up, man. I appreciate it. I know this one's going a little longer than I think most of the earnings streams go, but I'm in a trade, and I don't want to leave you guys hanging. And then, of course, if you ever trade earnings, we typically have like a 2-day rule. Obviously, I'm not going to hold these shares that long, but if you wanted to look for another recovery opportunity on this one, we typically wait a couple of days. So like Thursday or Friday, we'd start to look for an entry on this one as it's heading back up, rather than just trying to, buy here, hold there, and sell there, So it is hot as hell in this room, by the way. I'm going to fix that real fast. But we're going to see this trade through. The only reason I'm pointing that out is because it is a distraction. And the lifers know I'm all about identifying external stress factors. So it's not like a huge thing, but it's still a factor that it takes my attention away for milliseconds, right? All right, so this $8 wall is getting bigger, and the bid side walls are getting bigger. This tells me there's more algos are watching it, right? So they're kind of flocking to this one a little bit more. So we're still looking good. It just might take a little bit, which means I have to drink more delicious Pepsi. I really hope I don't get like a copyright or a cease and desist or something. Pepsi, if you guys want to fight in the parking lot, look, I'm drinking either way. You can't stop me. You guys can come to Chicago. You think we can get the CEO of Pepsi to come to our conference room? Get a sponsorship out of belligerently calling them out to a fight. I like it. I'm down. We'll have to run it by their legal department. I don't know. We'll see. What's going on, Hopsnaggle? How you doing? Long day? Long day, good day? We're just kind of hanging out waiting for this play to iron out. It's Snapchat. We looked at is it a fib? No, it's my 6% target from the range up here. So if I draw that, come up meow, and then come up meow, 6%. Because this is the end of the technical impulse. So the re-entry was on a break of this, but I saw what I liked below the entry threshold. So slightly different strategy here. But I'm still very confident in this breaking over $8 anyway. So I just don't feel like waiting for it. Yes. So thanks for asking, by the way. Oh, while I'm waiting for this, let me go ahead and pop out the Google form thing that I have to fill out for these. Yes. I get to check all the buttons. I love it. That's going to be an other, right? Calling. All right. Sounds good. All right. Well, that's going. I'm just going to check the comments here on YouTube as well. Just make sure I don't miss anybody. And then I got to check some DMs here. Oh, that's a big DM. Unfortunately, I can't respond to that right now. Sorry, guys. Just got an important DM here. Okay, cool. So they are handling that. Sorry, I just want to make sure I don't have to jump off here the next 2 seconds. The only way the CEO will come out to trade is paradise if we rename it to Pepsi Boys. I might be willing to reconsider. I think we can establish lines of communication. We can negotiate. We can renegotiate, and we'll see how it goes. I'm open to exploring all options, but committing to none. Thank you. I try, man. It was the Pepsi bottle did all the work. Like, that's good branding right there. That logo design, quality, the color scheme, red. It's the color of berries, and it kept our ancestors alive. So we associate that with hunger. And blue is the color for calmness, which means we want to buy stuff. We're comfortable. I like it, and it's a circle, so I can relate to it because I'm fat. It's nice. I gotta stop. I'm completely different when I stream at night, so I apologize. Starfighter Z has electrolytes. Yes. Let's take a look at that. So this is yeah, that's what astronaut who made this, but the raw dank. I like it. You know what? It's on point. Starpighters. Starpigters. I like how none of these spellings are the same. I love that. God, thank you, AI. You've made my life. I'm complete now. Oh, what's up, the doctor? What trouble are you getting into tonight? I'm drinking Pepsi and being a child of God. No, we're waiting for Snapchat to die off so I can oh, there we go. Look at that. See? Bam bam boom. Easy peasy. Starbucks. Ah, look at that. Boom. See, guys, we get behind the right things sometimes. Once in a while. I got a skelly foot there. And this is super simple too. Like, don't get hung up on like patterns and stuff, because that's a very easy trend line. And you've also got one right here, right? So you can draw these lines anywhere and it'll make sense. You could draw from the top of this candle to this candle. It'll make sense after the fact, right? So don't feel like you have to be perfect about drawing lines. Yeah, look at, I'm a damn fool. So over here, we called out that the price was likely to blast over $8 on one of these two candles, and it made a fool of me. We did the countdown, we did everything. We watched the volume come in, and then we just watched it not. It disappointed me. I feel like a let down father, you know. I committed all that time to driving it back and forth to practice and to getting all the equipment, and it just sat down. Oh, you 2 Lambos. I will get you a JPEG, and then we can copy and paste it if you want. Let me catch up on the chat here. In that movie, Costco was the only place to buy anything. Oh, Idiocracy. Hey, yeah, it's a good strategy, right? Well, you guys got me on that. I don't need to trade to look like to act a fool. So bad. Tell you what, I'll buy you 2 Lambos, but you pay for the insurance and new clutches. Okay. Have fun with that. You're going to definitely want to do some Ubering or some Grubhub. I do have to jump off here in a little bit. If that's the case, I'll probably just cut this position and be done with it. Just because I don't hold these overnight. And yeah, I don't feel like waking up to negative 12%. I also don't feel like watching it overnight. You guys, I'm very lazy, and I would rather just trade like 2 to 5 minutes a day and be done. So that's usually what I do, especially as in these smaller accounts here. I don't want to just watch trades for 2 hours at a time. I just want to get in while it's going and get out before it stops. You heard Lambo tires cost $7,500 to air up? I don't know. Probably. I'll never buy a Lambo. It's one of the silliest investments you can make. You can't drive it around town and have a good time. Everyone around you is going to be terrified, and it's going to cause accidents. They're expensive to maintain. Most people that I know that have them, they just bring them to a track like once or twice a month. They drive it around the track like a jerk, and then it probably goes in the shop, and then they bring it home. Like they truck it to the track. It's insane. So yeah, I'm sure it probably does. I know the clutches are expensive, and if you're not good at driving, you have to replace them very frequently. Yeah, it's a 1 liter. I bought this this delicious Pepsi. I got this. Almost lost my sponsorship there. This delicious Pepsi. It's a refreshing soft drink soda pop from PepsiCo. How is Pepsi doing? Let's pull up their chart. This is a Pepsi stream now, guys. Oh, let's look at that weekly chart. Yeah. All right. Nothing. we got 3 solid. Oh, we got a bunch of solid opportunities here on lower time frames, but that's it. Like, this is how I trade. Just very small, consistent profits. Like, that's what's going to get you guys to the land of milk and honey, where we all belong. 3 minutes, sorry. Not these huge home runs and stuff. Like, you guys can get those in the mix. They'll happen. But if that's all you're trying for, and you're watching a bunch of little 3 to 5% profits go away because you couldn't accept them, I probably won't see you a year from now. And I don't want that to happen. I want to be buddies. I want to be best friends. Exactly, Snowflake. You could buy so many litter boxes. Your cat would have endless fields to produce. Oh yeah, Doc, that's bad. They so Lamborghini got to the point where they were marking their rentals because they like idiot teenagers were renting them and crashing them for trying to make videos for status. So in an attempt to discourage them from doing that, they started putting branding on the cars so that people could call them out on social media. That's so funny. The 3% goal has changed the game for you. Okay, that's good stuff. I've been much happier with small wins. Doesn't it make so much less stressful? You're just in and out and it's done. You don't have to worry about trying to make it all back or any of that stuff. So nice. And you get so many more opportunities. I'm happy for you, dude, because like once that switch flips, like it doesn't go back. It's a beautiful thing. You didn't realize you were wanting everything to be $100 plus. Yeah, you don't need it to be. Here, I'll pull up we can look at some numbers, right? Because we like numbers here. So if I were to take $100, which is exactly what I'm doing in this small account, okay, and I were to trade 10 times, okay, so 10 days in the market, achieving a 3% return per day in the positive. Now, it's not always going to happen. There's going to be small losses and stuff, even a big loss. It's okay. By the end of those 10 trades, which would be 2 weeks, right? 5 days a week times 2 is 2 weeks. This account should grow by $34.39 if I get 3% each of those 10 days, right? Just going to check back on this. And then if another 10 trades, I'll be up to $180.71. So I'll have an $80.71 profit, or this account will be up 80% roughly in a month. Like, I feel like that's acceptable because that's 40 times what your bank is going to give you on that same money over the course of a year. So in 12 times the calendar, right? For 1/40th of the return. So yeah, I'm going to do it my way. I don't like just parking my money in a savings account. I'll do it if I didn't know what I was doing. And then the next 10 trades brings me up to almost 1.5 times what I started with. 2.5 times, I guess. I'm talking 1.5 in terms of profit, right? Then beyond that, the next 10 trades brings me up to 326. So I've more than tripled at this point within the first quarter. Okay. Now, again, that's assuming a perfect 3% return for every day, 40 times in a row, which is unlikely. Well, I can't say it's unlikely. It's not guaranteed, right? Because I can hit 3% all the time. You guys see it. Not a big deal. But assuming maybe the internet goes out and I take a hit, or my house collapses, or the boiler blows up and shoots a hole through the floor and it flies out, knocks my desk over and I can't exit a trade, whatever happens, right? Circumstance. I can absorb that because I'm properly allocating and I'm getting those consistent base hits a lot more frequently than those losses. Yeah, my U-Haul hits a tree. Yeah, such a bad driver. And then, by the time 50 trades rolls around, which is about a quarter, right? There's 250 trading sessions a year, plus or minus. Okay, so 250. So within 1/5 of that, so just over 2 months, or between 2 to 3 months, I will have quadrupled my initial investment. Just getting 3% profits. So there's no reason for me to hold and watch things go red because I couldn't accept 3% as good enough when I can more than easily achieve an insane return in a short amount of time, all things considered, with just little base hits that I can get repeatedly. Right? Today, I'm up 4.14%. It's only $5 right now, but that $5 contributes to this $34.39 pretty fantastically. I'm like, one day is 1/7 of the way there. And I haven't really done much. Like these 3 shares, I'm only really committing time because I'm in with you guys. So if we look back at WW here from this morning, I was in and out, like back to back. Okay, if I got on the 1 minute, you guys can see it a lot clearer. This is how most of my trades go. I'm just in and out, in and out, in and out, right? It was going up when I went in. I got a little bit high of a fill. And as soon as that impulse broke, I got out and actually hit my target, and then it pulled back. So easy peasy. Did I need to catch the absolute bottom? Did I need to catch a perfect pullback? No, absolutely not. Did I have a plan in case it pulled back? Yes. That way I don't have to guess, because I really suck at guessing. So once you get that mindset shifted, and that's why I say this is 90% psychology, very, very small piece of it as analysis. Once you get that psychology under wraps and you're comfortable with consistent base hits that you can get. This is a river. It's flowing by. There's fish swimming all over the place, but you're trying to land a whale. You're just going to fall into that river and crack your head on rocks. So I'll just wait with my mouth open. I'll let the fish jump into my mouth, and I know when to close my mouth. That's my job. It's not to jump into the river and try to fight them. Matster says, not all the days will be 3%, but out of 4 days, I have 4.5%, 5.5%, 8% in there. That's beautiful. So if you were to add those up, 4.5 and 5.5 is 10, 18%. So you've essentially done 6 days worth of 3% profits. So you could take a couple days off. Doesn't matter. It's up to you. That's surplus, right? What you're doing is you're trading less and you're getting more out of it. That's a beautiful thing because, like I said, I'm very lazy. I like money, but I don't like having to work a bunch for it, right? Just like a lawyer. Like they love money, but they don't like working. So how do I use that to my benefit? I take the bird in the hand and I walk away. As soon as it lands in my hand and I can close it, I walk away. I'm done. That's my fill for the day. Okay. I don't need to sit there and continue working more and more and more and risking that bird and risking all the other profits and all the other stuff that I brought to that scene to try to catch that bird. I'm comfortable with the bird. I like it. It's my friend. We're buddies. Because I'm building an aviary and I can get hundreds of birds and they're all just going to get bigger and stronger. And before you know it, we'll be pulling Frodo and Sam out of the volcano, and we're off to the races because the birds matured, they compounded, they did their part. I did my part. I didn't sacrifice them needlessly because I was trying to catch an eagle, or a dragon, I should say. So it's really just it's a psychology thing. You have to shift your mindset, learn what success is versus profitability. And once, like I said, I've been working with the lifetime members here, like Master, Snowflake, the Doctor. Who else do I see in here? I can't see the member list here. Sailor Brown, Stickman. A lot of you guys are in lifetime here. I got Chag. You guys are the regulars here. You guys get it. Like once you flip that switch, it's flipped. It's really hard to go back to doing the risky stuff once you've had a taste of that success. I trade to trade less. I'm not going to work 20 hours a day for $7 profit, but I'll work 3 or 4 minutes for $5. I'm okay with that. That's a good hourly rate for something I don't have to think about all day and I don't have to work hard for. So with that said, I do have about 5 minutes, but I have to jump off here pretty soon. If this doesn't jump over $8 here, I'll probably just cut this position. Yeah, exactly. How do you value your time? Do you think of it like that hourly rate? Absolutely. This is a side hustle. As big as my stuff is, it's still just a side hustle. I set up passive income in the background, let it work for me. It's a company that I've invested in, essentially. For the speculative stuff, it's a hobby. It's a side hustle that I can get paid to do. All I do is show up. I look for patterns, just shapes and colors, and then I push buttons when the chart tells me to push buttons. It's like a little Simon Says game, and I'm comfortable with the end result because I'm not trying to impose my ego, and I understand that it's not me that makes the decision of whether or not the price goes up or down. I only choose to get in or out. So if I can do that quickly and I can do that efficiently and get my risk exposure down back to like some minimal amount and walk away with a profit or a very, very small loss, but more importantly, a bunch of data about myself, I'll do that. Like I tell you guys in lifetime, it's like making your bed. You just do it. It's just it's like a very quick thing that we just do because we do it, right? Because it achieves an end result. But if you spent 7 hours of your day making your bed, even though it was already made in 5 minutes, that's going to cripple your life. You're not going to have a good time. So why do that to yourself? My bed's made. I pop in, pop out. If I want to take another trade, I can, which is why I saved half my capital on this one for you guys on the stream. But I don't have to. Think about how much more time I would have to go to the store and how much more money I would have if I didn't blow it all to buy Pepsi, the nectar of the gods. I think I've plugged Pepsi like 6 times already. And just so you guys know, I will absolutely be bringing a Pepsi to Traders Paradise 2025 in Chicago, June 9th through June 12th. I will. I'm just kidding. I hate plugging stuff, but this does have tremendous value. So that's the only reason I'm putting it in here. So I'll put that in the chat for you guys, and then I'll put it here as well in Discord. And it's there. Like I said, there's no pressure. If you probably think you're going to lose $600 next month, it's worth coming to Chicago, in my opinion, with that 40% discount. Now, obviously, there's airfare and stuff, so you got to kind of factor that in. We are asking people to take time away from their families, their jobs. We understand that. It's tough, but the advantage here is that you get to view this in terms of the time you'll save yourself in the future and the money you'll make in the future. So that's the goal. I want to make sure everybody here has a chance to succeed. And if I get a chance to lock you guys in a room for 4 days and drill it all into your heads and make sure that you're able to to internalize it all and share your obstacles and really find breakthroughs and workarounds, then I would say it's worth it. But you guys are also always welcome to just keep showing up to the live streams. That's, I'm here. It's easier if we're in the same room and you get more value out of that, but I'll take what I can get with you guys. I'm just happy to be here. Oh, that's sketchy. The school bus just rolling by at 6 o'clock at night. What a bunch of weirdos. Oh, I live near a school. That makes sense. Maybe it's sports. Either way. So I do got to drop off here in about 40 seconds. So let me just go ahead and wrap this trade up. We are currently 1.28% up, and that is good enough. So I'm going to push the button, and the shares are sold. So if this blasts up to $10, I don't care, right? This is my mindset. It's my psychology. I bought here. I walked away with $1 or 1.5% profit on top of my 3% whatever earlier. So I'm up a grand total of $5.02 for the day, and that is good enough. I'm done. I don't want to spend more time in the market, and I have to go. I got a bunch of stuff I got to do. So I thank you all. Let me end the recording here. Thank you to everyone who's watching this after work, and I apologize for the length of this one. It was just